Hello YouTube, this is GHQ Sorry about the camera quality, I will admit it's very shitty at the moment. My tripod's broken, so I'm using my computer, which isn't the best, and not being able to see what I'm doing. You're going to deal with this shit because, quite frankly, this is the best I can do for the moment until I get a new tripod. But, all that bullshit out of the way, we'll start with one of these profiles that you probably hate because, you know, face camera. People hate face camera, but tough. So we'll start. We've got our buddy here, who is still the ruler of Battlefield Abigail. Ruler of Battlefield Abigail is it's really good. We'll get into it with the monsters, but that's that. Plus, obviously, we have our lovely, lovely Darkness Dragon World flag, Gaito flag, because, you know, Gaito deck, and Gaito is pretty badass. We start with the main deck though, so we'll go with zeros. To start with, we obviously have our 3 copies of sealed black death. Ganmal. We'll start with Ganmal because, you know, take one and I can't be bothered. I feel crap, so I'm just bringing you the guys this because I love the deck. I've had fun with it and it's working for me. Ganmal, if you got a set, you can ditch it from your hand, and you can reduce a monster's attack by 5k and 3 crit, which is pretty damn good when you're facing bats, because Thunder Empire is an absolute bitch to face. 3 copies because this deck isn't predicated on having a set, it just helps to have a set. Next, no surprise I'm sure, we have 4 copies of our Abigail SD. Abigail SD is obviously really good. Destiny of the Black Dragon to draw your card. Drawing is very good. That gauge is kind of sucky, but it happens and it's worth paying. 2 copies of Annihilation Black Death Dragon Abigail. On entry and exit of the field, you can destroy a monster on the field, which is really good. I considered replacing this for purple Abby because that 2 life is very useful, and obviously with that you've got your destroy a card rather than just a monster, but it has to survive the turn for that, so counters kind of ruin your day. Still a really great card, and there will be a different profile that is based around purple Abby. Obviously our 4 copies here of the buddy, Ruler of Battle Zone. That 4k body is very nice. 2 crit is also very nice. And when it's in the drop, you can pay a gauge, shove it on the bottom of your deck, and you can null an attack, because, you know, who doesn't like doing that? Next, this is probably going to kind of annoy people, but hey, my deck, my rules. 4 copies of Repose Abbey. Repose Abbey is obviously your gauge 1 and then your gauge 2 if you've got a set. You pretty much always have a set. If not, you're still gaining a gauge, and this deck uses a lot of gauge. So you kind of need these. Also, it's a 5k body, and I found in testing in this format, surprisingly, you need that little bit of extra power just to be able to break through walls. Then obviously you've got your rogue matchups like Cancerian and whatnot that it's good for. So, again, on that vein, sort of, is 2 copies of Balsam, cut down from 3 in the last profile, I believe it was. Balsam is your on-entry Killer Black Dragon to gauge and draw a card. Again, this is draw power, pure and simple, 5k power, 2 crit is very nice. You only need the 2 copies though, because now we've got that slight bit more draw power, slight bit more consistency, so on and so forth. 3 copies now of Zilla Zest. On entry, you can pay 2 gauge, and you can search for a set card, which can either be obviously your impact or your invitation. 6k wall isn't too bad. I mean, really, he's just here to die and be your first turn play, hopefully. Failing that, he's here to be a target for something else, and obviously have that lovely little bit of death just because it saves your ass. 3 copies now I thought about more, and no, sorry guys, I don't have a buddy rare, but it is beautiful. That black, beautiful buddy rareness is amazing, and I wish I owned 3. But I've got to deal with these secret pack ones, so nice stats though. The 7k and the crit is nice. Your sets not being able to be destroyed is very nice. And that overturn for 1 gauge, your opponent draws, goes straight to their end step, and you take your next turn. Obviously, when you take your next turn, you don't get to conduct your battle phase, but ideally you'll be using the overturn to stall out until you can win with your impact, or you've got some other goal in mind that is best to be carried out on a turn where your opponent's stalled. We have 4 copies of Gale Haken. I don't play the new weapon. It's got 4k power, I know, but it's not as good as Haken. Haken can obviously attack through the centre and auto-destroys a monster, which is so much better than whatever the new one does that gives you a life or something. So Haken is used because of that. I mean, the power sucks, but if you can kill something, I would rather be destroying stuff. A new old edition, to be fair, but is our Noble Sacrifice. We play 3 copies of that. Noble Sacrifice is destroy your Black Dragon, pay a gauge, gain 2 life, draw a card. Obviously it's counter, so this is essentially one of your nulls. And it's always nice to gain life anyway. It helps you out of a lot of binds. Oh look, Bats is overturned, he's going to kill you this turn. Gain 2 life, draw a card. Oh, I've probably drawn something that can help me again. So that happens a lot. But we play the 3 of those because obviously it's kill something. The next one's sort of in the same vein. Is Darkness Healing. We play 2 copies. Kill a Black Dragon, gain 2 life. And if you got a set, gain another 2 life. I mean, 4 life. Kill a Black Dragon, counter speed. It's sort of another one of your nulls, and with that little bit of extra life, you can get to silly high numbers. Next, still a holdout from the old bills, and yes, I still do hate this card. Devil Stigma. 2 copies. Kill a Black Dragon, gain 2 gauge and a life. That life is nice, the gauge is also nice, because obviously now you've got your additional costs, such as you've got Overturn Abbey. Next, we have 3 copies of our Black Ritual, which is your kill a Black Dragon, gain a gauge, gain a life, and draw 2. I mean, what else? I mean, people are playing 4. I don't like it at 4 because obviously once per turn, so you kind of don't want that dead too often, but you do want to see it, hence the 3. Next, we will go with 2 copies of Gale Impulse. Kill a Black Dragon, destroy a card on the field. It is fantastic. 1 gauge is so worth killing a card. It's counter speed as well, so obviously you can just, oh hey look, that guy's about to kill me, I'll pop it. Oh hey look, your weapon's annoying, I'll pop it. So on and so forth. It's a very good card, very good from the secret pack. This card has been bumped up to 3. I believe it was 2 in the last profile, but removable voice. Pay gauge and call a Black Dragon from the drop zone by paying its call cost, as long as it's size 1 or less. Usually going to be using this for Annihilate Abbey to get it back, pop something, when it dies, pop something else. But it's also very useful for other things, just to wall, just to counter more attacks, so on and so forth. Coming towards the end now, 3 copies of Invitation to Deathground. Invitation is still really good, cut your opponent off from their drop zone. And in addition to that, you also can pay 2 gauge to rest something on their field, a card on their field. So weapons, monsters, whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's still a rest. It can stall you out, it can give you the win, or you can just rest something if it's causing you trouble and you want something to stick around. So 3 copies, and it's not only 1 on the field. So if you amount enough gauge, you can just go, okay, I'm going to rest that. My next copy's going to rest that. My next copy's going to rest that, so on and so forth. And last but not least is the Impact Death Count Requiem. During the end of each of your opponent's turns, shove a soul from the top of your deck into it. And when you have 3 souls, you win the game. That doesn't matter about life costs. It's a very good card. That is the deck profile. I'm sure you're going to have questions such as Execution Ground. It's a good card, but unless your opponent's going to kill your stuff, it's kind of pointless. In my opinion, it's not to say it's a bad card, but it needs a specific deck to work. So yeah, if you like this, feel free to comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and check out our other stuff, the Facebook for Team JHQ, the Team JHQ website itself, and the Team JHQ channel. Pop into Geeks headquarters, come and see us, it'll be fun. Have a few games, you know. And any questions, feel free to ask. Obviously, being a blind player is probably something completely different to what you've all been used to. But I'm rambling now. I'll probably make an informational video at some point. But happy gaming.